Now the defenders of the stronghold of democracy and of equal opportunity.
You and I, as citizens, have the obligation to shape the debates of our time, not only with the votes we cast, but with the voices we lift.
The people are looking for honest answers, not easy answers.
The very word secrecy is repugnant.
Clear leadership.
And we are, as a people,
not false claims and evasiveness and politics as usual.
Opposed to secret societies.
As a people, we cannot afford to let any group of citizens or any individual citizen live or labor under conditions which are injurious to the Commonwealth.
Black, white, Latino, Asian, Native American, young, old, gay, straight, men, women, folks with disabilities, all pledging allegiance under the same proud flag to this big, bold country that we love. That's what I see. That's the America I know.
Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
There is nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right with America.
Welcome to the Aggressive Progressive Podcast. I am your host, Chris Hahn. I'm at Christopher Hahn on X, Christopher Hahn NY on Instagram, and ChristopherHahn.com. Thank you for liking, rating, reviewing, subscribing, sharing this YouTube video. Please share it to everybody you know. And if you don't like it, you don't have to say anything about it. Just move on. There's other things to watch on YouTube. I have a few other videos here. All right, lots going on. Let's talk. Here we go. I think that when you want to change things, you should understand what you're changing. And more importantly, you should have a plan for what it will be after the change. What's going on in Washington right now is not being done in any thoughtful or strategic way. It is being done in a chaotic way that will lead to consequences. Now, I don't know about you. I don't want some 19-year-old kid who has a offensive screen name to be in charge or have access to my data. Although I'm sure there probably are lots of kids around the world that have access to your data. But when we're talking about our IRS data or our Social Security data, for that matter, it is the job of the government of the United States of America to protect that data. We entrust them with it. Every year, we either do it ourselves or we go to an accountant, we prepare our taxes, and we send it off to the government. We tell the government a lot of things that we don't want the world to know. And that data can be used for a lot of things, probably mostly to sell you things, right? So if you're a person in the upper income bracket right now and you start getting ads for Tesla, you know why. It's because Tesla now has your data. They know who you are. They probably know the last time you bought a car, and they are advertising to you with the data brought to you by Doge. I speculate, but it could happen. It's very clear to me, and I've said this before, that they're just going in with an axe, just the same way Elon has gone into Twitter and other companies he's bought, and he's slashing away. And if the slash turns out to not be something they should be doing, they're going to try to get those people back. Funny thing about the nuclear regulators that they fired over the weekend and then immediately realized that they screwed up, they didn't have a way of contacting them. I don't know why. I don't know, like, if they just fired everybody and they didn't have anybody who had the number for these people that safeguard our nuclear weapons. You didn't think there'd be a backup for that? I mean, nothing, no Google directory, nothing. Took them a while to get them back. They got them back. They're firing people at the FAA. I do recall 2 weeks ago there was a airline disaster, probably because they were understaffed, and I mean this. They were understaffed, and I wonder if they were understaffed because days earlier, Donald Trump and Elon Musk said, if you're a federal worker and you want to quit now, we'll pay you till September. Did that leave that control room one person down? Maybe. I don't know if we'll ever know. I don't know if Donald Trump will ever want us to know. That's why he tried to say it was a DEI problem. But he knows. He knows what happened. The guilt will lay with him forever. The question I keep coming back to, and I'll come back to it again today, is when will this chaos have an impact on the average, everyday Americans' lives? Because so far, I don't think it has. I mean, if the nuclear regulators were gone for a couple of days, it might have been a nuclear bomb dropped somewhere, and I think we all would have noticed. But it hasn't really had an impact on, getting rid of USAID. Unless you're a farmer in the Midwest that sells them grain and you're selling it to them right now, I mean, it's not grain selling season, then I think that you're probably okay. I think that at the end of the summer, when USAID is not buying crops from American farmers in the billions of dollars that it used to do, I think you're going to see some impact to that, particularly if those farmers are in a swing state like Wisconsin or Michigan or Ohio or even Iowa. I think actions have consequences, and I do think that the consequences will begin to show themselves over the next couple of years. And I think by the time we get to the midterms, that'll be enough. I think the American people will be like, we need a little check and a balance. And frankly, I think that we're going to get a check and a balance in these special elections. I think Democrats are going to take some of these seats. And I'm hearing all these people talking about the death of the Democratic Party. I've got friends texting me, Democratic Party, where are they? Yeah, I mean, this is a pendulum, right? Politics is a pendulum. It swings. The only thing I can guarantee you is that that pendulum is in perpetual motion. If you think that this will last forever, you are wrong. The only way it lasts forever is if somebody's cheating. Now, they're trying, but I don't think they're going to be able to cheat. I'm your host, Chris Hahn. I'm at Christopher Hahn on X, Christopher Hahn NY on Instagram, and ChristopherHahn.com. Those are my socials. Make sure, if you're not already watching me on YouTube, I'm at The Aggressive Progressive on YouTube. Please go there. It's free. You could watch me do this every single day. And of course, you could download the Aggressive Progressive audio podcast, wherever you get your podcast, and watch me on News Nation. It's news for all Americans. All right. So, talking about them cheating, again, I don't think they're going to be able to cheat their way into holding on to power forever. Are they going to try to cheat? Are they going to try to make it harder for people they know who won't vote for them to vote? Yes. I mean, you see Donald Trump saying he's going to tie FEMA aid in California to voter ID. Okay. He knows why Republicans like voter ID. He is not naive. He doesn't think that there are illegal immigrants voting, even if that's what he tells you. What he knows is that people who live in urban centers who don't need cars don't have driver's license. And you know what? If we want to have a talk about voter ID in America, let's have a talk about voter ID. But in places like Texas, where they implemented voter ID, a student ID issued from a state university is not good. But a hunting license without a photo is fine. So what shenanigans are they up to there about their voter ID? Well, it makes it less about knowing who the person is and more about knowing who is voting and who you can keep from voting. And if that's the key, that's not good. And we've got to push back on that forever. But you know what? You want to have a conversation about voter ID in America? Let's have a conversation about it. But let's find a way to make sure that every American who has a social security number can get an ID easily without having to go anywhere if they don't have a car. Or let's make it so that the government's going to pick them up to get those voter IDs. Or the government's going to go door to door and make sure people have voter IDs. Because I believe in America, both parties should want more people to vote, not less. I think that if your main political agenda is to make it harder for people to vote, that means you know that your ideas don't appeal to the masses, right? For example, Republicans in Congress this week introduced a bill to raise bank fees. I kid you not. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that you don't like bank fees and you don't want bank fees to be higher. So who are those House Republicans appealing to? Well, they're appealing to people who own banks. They are not appealing to the masses. And most Americans, I would say the vast majority of Americans, the overwhelming majority of Americans, 99% of us don't own banks or have any interest in a bank other than our money's there and they charge us to keep it there. But Republicans are saying, hey, let's raise some bank fees because that's popular. You're going to put that on a slogan. You're going to campaign on that. You might want to wonder why Elon Musk shot down the Consumer Protection Agency. Why would they do that? The company that's making sure that predatory lenders are prosecuted, or making sure that people have the information they need to avoid predatory lending, and the agency that's responsible for making sure that banks don't charge usury fees on to their customers. Yeah, why would Elon Musk want to shut that down? I guess because he's trying to monetize Twitter, which I think has been the fool's errand of fool's errands, not just by him, but by everybody who's been involved with Twitter for the last 15 years. People love Twitter, but it doesn't make any money, which is why it was kind of ridiculous that he bought it for $44 billion. People are saying, throwing out numbers, I'll give you $9 billion for it because that's probably what it's worth. I've offered him, and this offer stands, Mr. Musk. If you would like to sell Twitter to me, I will get you $1 billion. You heard me correctly. $1 billion. If you would like to enter into an agreement with me for me to buy Twitter, I'll give you $1 billion. So you'll make, you'll only have lost $43 billion on the deal. But I digress. Yeah, he's trying to monetize Twitter by making it a pay-for app, an app that you can pay for whatever you want, almost like Venmo, which is how he actually became rich, right? Originally, he created PayPal and Venmo, and that is what led to Elon Musk's vast fortune. Now he's trying to reimagine that through Twitter. And in China and in some parts of Europe, they have these everything apps you could do social media with, and you can pay for things with. We have that now on the iPhone. It's called Apple Pay, and I think they've got it on other phones as well. I'm sorry, I'm a slave to Apple. But yeah, he's getting rid of the agency, though. Getting rid of it. The agency that would be the watchdog over that particular function on Twitter. You don't think that's self-dealing? You don't think that there's a conflict of interest there? You want to tell me that that's okay? So next year, when your interest rates on your credit cards are 35%, tell me again how these people are working for you. I'm telling you right now, they're not. And these are the consequences. Today or yesterday in Congress, Republicans introduced legislation to raise bank fees. There's a special election coming up in like a month. Maybe you might want to send a message about how you feel about raising bank fees, about how you feel about a party that's getting rid of the watchdog that protects you from these kinds of things. Republicans' motto is caveat emptor. Buyer beware. That's what they want. They don't care about you. They care about the person who sells things to you. And you should be very, very concerned about that. I mean, I'm concerned about it. And I know better. I know it's coming. I read the fine print. I'm a lawyer. I know how to read this stuff. And I worry about it because you're not going to catch all of it. You're going to log on to your television one day and click accept terms because you just want to watch, the Beavis and Butthead movie, and you're going to wind up owing Paramount for the rest of your life. Is that what we want? Buyer beware. Make sure you read the fine print in every agreement you sign before you click accept. You better read that 90-page document before you download an app to play Candy Crush or whatever. You better read it, because if you don't, it doesn't matter. There's nobody coming to save you. And that's really the motto of the Trump administration right now. There is no one coming to save you, even if you're Ukraine. think about that. We'll talk about that next time. All right. I'm going to remind you now, as I always do, to seek the truth, question everyone and everything, even me. Seek the truth. I know it's out there, and I know you'll find it if you look for it. And I'll be back here again real soon to tell you the truth as I see it. I'm Chris Hahn. Thanks for joining me on the Aggressive Progressive Podcast.